goody guys, welcome back to Wine Network Books with your girl Kay. As you can see by the title, I'm reviewing Ties That Tether. You already know what I got next to me. Today I am drinking some Stella Rose. I know y'all had this. If you had it, drop it in the comment. Let me know you've had this wine before. But before we get into the review, I want to let y'all know that everybody who requested a book, I did purchase the book. There's only 2 books that I could not find, and the 2 people who requested the books under my last video, I did respond back to you, letting you know that I could not find the book. So if you know where I could get the book, just respond back to me or DM me on Instagram, and I'll purchase the book. But I could not find them. Y'all know who you are. But anyways, let's get into the video. Let me get a drink. All right, let's get it. First of all, I'm gonna rate this book 5 out of 5. The book is for the culture. I love this book. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I know I said I love a lot of books, but for some reason I really love this book. This book made me laugh. I've connected with this book on so many levels, so many aspects. It talks about culture. It talks about religion. It talks about family. It talks about love. It talks about a lot of things. I can't get off the top of my head. But anyways, let's get into it. I'm going to try not to spoil it too much, because I really do want you guys to read a book. If there's any, out of all my book reviews, if you choose a book to read this one. But anyways, let's do it. So the main character, she's from Nigeria. So I think her name is Azere. I hate pronouncing people's name wrong, so we're just going to call her A, because I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. So A. So A is from Nigeria. She currently resides in Canada with her family, her mom, her sister, her uncle, her cousin. So she immigrated from Nigeria at the age of 12. Unfortunately, her father passed away. So the father's brother took them in, been caring for them. A did everything that she could do to be a good child. She followed all the rules. She was like the perfect daughter. She helped her mom around the house. She didn't break any rules. She never talked back. She did what she was told. She took care of her younger sister. She was the prime example of a good child. You know, never gave her mom any trouble, right? So I'm going to start with this. So her father died of cancer, and on the father's deathbed, he made her promise that she will never date a white man, and she would never date someone that wasn't, is it Edo or Ido? If you're Nigerian or you African or African descent, if I pronounce the names wrong, just drop it in the comment. I do apologize, right? So she made that promise to her dad that, you know, she would marry someone that's within her culture. So because the dad was so afraid that, you know, she would move to it's not America, it's Canada. She would move to Canada and she would forget her roots. She would forget where she come from, and he didn't feel like she should marry outside of their culture. So she made that promise, and unfortunately her mom was right there when she made the promise. So the mom, I don't like the mom at all. We gonna get into the mom's character. So the mom was there when she made the promise. Unfortunately, the sister was little, so the sister wasn't pressured into making that promise. So the little sister, I forgot her name. The little sister, yeah. I can't remember her name. Anyways, so the little sister was the opposite of A. She gave the mom problems. She talked back. She was very rebellious. She did what she wanted to do. She always stood up for herself. And she was very assertive. On the other hand, A let everything, you know, get swept under the rug. If she felt the type of way, she would never speak up. She would never say anything, and it bothered her little sister, you know. A really was like, you know, she was the child that she was pressured at a young age to do a lot of things, and growing up, you know, she wanted to break out of that shell. She didn't know how to, and she was just tired. So the book starts off as A is going on another date that is set up by her mother. So let me pause there. So her mother is an African woman, right? And not only African, she's Nigerian. So the mother is seen to be rude. She's very, very, very demanding. She's very assertive. She has no regards for her daughter's feelings. If it's not the mother's way, then it's the highway. I don't think she's, I don't want to say she's not. I'm gonna say in the beginning she wasn't caring, and she wasn't very compassionate at all. So the mother's thing is that A has to find a man. So I believe A is 25. So she keeps sending A up on these blind dates with all these Edu men, right? And she's basically like, okay, you have a good career or whatever, but that's not what you're here for. You're basically here to marry a man and reproduce and be a housewife. And A is just like, I don't want that. So A keeps going on these blind dates that her mother set up with all these men, and these men are just the living epitome of what you don't want for a man. Like, they want her to not work. They want her to be submissive. She can't do anything for her own. Like, the man has to run the household. She can't speak back, and she's just like, that's not me. So one fateful day, again, she's on another blind date, right? The blind date goes sour because the man wanted her to be submissive. She's like, no, like, first of all, your eating habits is trash. You have no manners. You are disgusting. So she gets up from that blind date. She goes to the bar, right? Is in a nice hotel. So she's drinking her drink, and she happens to meet. At the time, she thought he was white. His name was Raphael, right? So Raphael came up to her. It was like, little chit chat conversation, bad day or whatever. The conversation don't matter. And she started laughing or whatever. So she looked up. She see that he looks white, but he's actually Hispanic. His family, he's a descendant of Spain heritage. His family's from Spain. So she finds that out later down the line. But I'm gonna just tell you right now. So they start to laugh, and they have an instant connection. And she's like, whoa, like she's not supposed to be having this connection because in her eyes, she's going against everything that she was taught, her morals that she cannot compromise, which is dating a white man or dating someone that is not of Edu or Edu descent. So they have a connection. They basically start talking. Then they end up staying in the bar until the bar closed. Next thing you know, they end up going into the hotel room and having sex. So in the hotel room, they having sex. The vibes is good, the mood is good. She feeling it, he feeling it. They ripping each other clothes off. Like, it was very intense, and I was so like intrigued. Like, what's gonna happen next? Like, what you gonna do? Anyways, so yeah, they have sex. The next day, she just get up and dip out on him, right? So she leave, and she enjoyed the experience, but she start feeling guilty because she went against everything that she said she wouldn't do. And I'm just like, I understand, but you can't help who you're attracted to. At the end of the day, once you start getting older, all the life lessons and the demands and your morals start to change, and you start to see like this is not the way that you want to live. Like you want to make sure that your family's happy with you, but at the end of the day, are you willing to compromise your happiness for your family? Again, people, hear me. Are you willing to compromise your happiness for your family? Not me. So anyway, but it's not easy, So she felt guilty about it, but she enjoyed it, and she just couldn't realize like that connection she had with Raphael. And I'm like, damn, like maybe I need to go to a hotel bar and find a connection. Stop. So anyways, she goes to work. It's about I can't remember the time frame, so we're just gonna put it between a month to 6 months. But I think it was like a shorter time, but we're just gonna put that time frame there, right? She just happened to be at a meeting, and one of the head bosses was like, oh yeah, we got a new co-worker. Guess who it is? Raphael. So Raphael comes in, she's taken back like, oh. I'm like, and he's like, oh. And I'm like, what's gonna happen next? So in the staff meeting, first of all, they made it hot, y'all. You don't want to make it hot knowing that y'all know each other, but I mean, you whatever. They in the staff meeting staring down at each other. So they gazing across the rooms, surrounding each other, and all the co-workers looking at them watching, they looking at themselves. And I'm just like, yo, y'all making it real hot. So you already know once the meeting was over, the office started talking and all that gossip. I would have been like this. I would have been like this, girl. You saw that? But anyways, so yeah, so you know, after the step meeting, they stay back. Raphael go like, "Why did you leave me?" And then she's just like, "I want to be professional." She's just like taken back, like, "Yo, is this really happening? Like, is it a dream?" And he's like, "Yo, is this really happening? Is it a dream?" Because he never had a connection with a person like in so long. It's been 3 years for him. He gonna understand why. So he really was like, it was like kind of like love at first sight anyways. So she's nervous like, yo, I don't want this to mess up my job, don't interfere with my job. So he's just like, I'm not that kind of person, you know, whatever, like we good, it was whatever. So, but you know, she don't trust him. So her best friend also works for her, so she goes to tell at first she's hiding from her best friend or whatever. And then eventually she ended up telling the best friend like, yo, I slept with him, this, that, and the third, it was so good. You know, I really I liked it. So her best friend is also her best friend is mixed. Her best friend is Nigerian and her father is white. So her best friend understands, you know, what A is going through, because A is torn between her culture and doing what's best for her. Because at the end of the day, you know, she's trying to fight the attraction. So the whole time A and Raphael in the office together, she's fighting the attraction, but it's really getting to her because she really wants to be with this dude. But then you have the mother on the other hand talking about, oh, you keep destroying every blind date, these are good men I'm setting you up with, what's wrong with you, like you're gonna be alone and this, that, and third, make sure that you don't marry no white man. And she keep doing that and she pressuring A, and I'm just like, yo, her mom need to chill. Like, you gotta understand, we the new day and age. Like, you know, I understand the whole concept of families not wanting to don't condone interracial dating, especially if you are not from America. And I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it, and I understand why the family be like that. But the way the mom was acting, it was bothering me. It's just like she was pimping and holding her daughter out, and it's just like, first of all, mom, are you really sitting down here and really taking a look at the guys that you are, you know, setting up your daughter with? These guys are horrible. Like, her mother was the type of mother in the book that she will make her daughter settle for abusive, disrespectful ass man, all to say that her daughter is married to an evil man, and basically just say that her daughter is married. And I was just like, yo, I was just so So anyway, right? I told you I'm not gonna spoil too much. So we go fast forward. So it just so happened that the one night stand that her and Raphael had, she ended up getting pregnant, right? So she gets pregnant, and that shit was like, yo, what? So she's hiding the pregnancy from everyone. She didn't tell Raphael. She didn't tell her mom. She didn't tell what you call it, her sister. No, she didn't tell nobody, right? Because she was just taken back, like, I use protection. How did this happen? But you know, faith play a role in everything. Because for the simple fact, it was more so that she was trying to be in control of the life that she's supposed to live instead of allowing things to play out. And I'm just like, you gotta just let it go, you know, let's fill it out. So one day, her and Raphael was working on a project. They come to a consensus, like, yo, listen, like, I want this. I want to be with you. And Raphael was like, all right, cool, you know, it is what it is, you know. So they come together. So they secretly dating or whatever. And I knew from the jump it wouldn't last that way in the beginning, because when you secretly date, you trying to hide stuff. It just, things don't go as planned. It don't go as planned, especially when you are connected as a family. So it just so happened that her and Raphael is in the bed together, whatever, and they having sex. They do their thing, and then she started throwing up. So and again, her best friend kept saying, all right. At one point, sorry guys, she told her best friend that she was pregnant, and the best friend was like, you gotta tell him. So she's throwing up, whatever. He's like, are you okay? Da, da, da. He was very concerned. Raphael was very, he's the type of guy that's very attentive. He's very compassionate. He's very sympathetic. He's very assuring. Like he's the guy that, you know, I could call and he's gonna jump on it and he's gonna take care of you. He was a true definition of a man of a household, right? So he was basically everything that A wanted, but because of his skin tone and that he wasn't a Nigerian, he wasn't even Edo. That's the problem. So so after this sex session, she's throwing up. She was like, listen, I gotta go cut my grass. My mother's grass. So he was like, oh, nah. What's the mom's address? So in the midst of throwing up, she's like, why you asking for my mom's address? Next thing you know, the mom, he dip out the house. The mom was like, oh, thanks for sending this guy over here to cut the grass. So she jumped out the bed, go to the house. So he didn't tell her, he cut the grass. So the family think that, you know, he's a gardener. So they talking or whatever, and shit was getting real. So I'm gonna pause there. So it just so happened that back when A was 19, she lost her virginity to a dude named Elijah, who she went to church with, right? And Elijah was A's first heartbreak, first love. They had sex. Next thing you know, he left her without an explanation, and it really broke her heart. So, you know, she was dealing with that. It just so happened that Elijah came back into town, and the mother set A and Elijah up on a date. So A's just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, why are you here? You just come back with no explanation. And he's just like, I'm sorry. You know the stupid shit men do when they hurt you and they want back in your life. Yeah, all that. So the mom is just like, oh, you need to get with him. He's a doctor. He's cute. This, then the third. This is their last chance or whatever, right? So A is basically like, I'm off this. Like, I'm not dealing with it. You hurt me and it's unforgivable. And she's still like Raphael. So I told you I'm skipping some stuff because I don't want to spoil everything. So it just so happened that when A went over she was rushing to the house and Raphael was there cutting the grass, here comes Elijah, right? So Elijah pulls up and wraps his arm around A. So Raphael's confused, like, what's going on? So Raphael knows that A is dealing with the situation where, you know, her mom doesn't want her to date outside of her culture. He is Hispanic, but he don't know the depth of the situation, like how the mom really is. He don't know how the mom really is, and at that time he didn't know that A didn't tell the family about him. And mind you, she still didn't tell Raphael that she's pregnant, right? So shit is about to go down. So Elijah put his hands around her. A swiped it off. She's nervous. Her anxiety's up through the roof. She's hot. Remember, she was going through the sickness. Sis faint, right? So sis faint. They get to the hospital. And in the hospital, everybody finds out that she is pregnant. She's pregnant. And her mom loses their shit, right? So the mom basically is like, who's the dad? So the mom thinks that Elijah is the dad. So A was like, nah, Raphael's the dad. So the mom is like, oh, you a disgrace to me. Oh, I'm disowning you. Are no daughter of mine. I don't like you. You dishonored this family. Every hurtful thing that the mom could say, she said it. And I was just breaking my heart. Cause I'm like, you don't need, like, you really gonna disown your daughter for that? Like, for real? And sis really did. So it was a week later, the uncle had called a family meeting, right? So the uncle called a family meeting to sit down. So when A's father had passed, the mother had wore a whole bunch of black garments, right? Sis comes to the meeting in the same black garment she wore to the father's funeral, talking about she's mourning the loss of her daughter because the daughter that's in the cross from her is not her. So A's just like, yo, listen, like, you know, I love him. He's gonna do right by me. Raphael was also present in the meeting. Raphael's trying to plead the case, like, listen, like, I love her. I'm gonna be there for her. And, you know, this is my baby. I'm gonna take care of the baby. So the mother's not seeing that she got a man that really loves her daughter, that's gonna take care of the daughter, that eventually wanna marry her. All she sees that he's basically, he's white. And the mother's like, oh, you farmers, You promised your father on his deathbed that you wasn't gonna marry a white man. You going against his wishes. So the mother for A's entire life, the mother kept holding this promise over over A's head. And it's just like, yo, like at the end of the day, yeah, it's a promise. Your daughter is grown, and the father's been gone for so long. Like, you can't do that. So A is trying to live up to this promise, but she can't do it no more. But she refuses to speak up. And her little sister was like, yo, she's happy. We accept it. Like, what is the problem, mom? So the mom is just saying, mad her for shit. But I'm going to tell you about the mom. Like, the mom, she could get this. The mom is a fire. Let me tell you how the mom is so, what's the word? I can't even think of the word that I want to think right now. She is a hypocrite, though. I'm going to tell you why. So anyways, A goes after the meeting. The mom goes into the kitchen. A follows her, like, I'm your daughter. I'm still your, like, you know, I love you, whatever. But you don't have to disown me. So she's trying to plead her case. And the mother's still saying hurtful stuff. And A was like, you know what? It's all right. She finally stood up for herself. It is what it is. And she's like, you know, if you disown me, that's fine. I can't do nothing about it. And then the mom was like, oh, you should have married Elijah. He wants to marry you. So A was like, the same Elijah that you hold to a high standards is the same man that took my virginity when I was 19 and left me. So that left the mom speechless. And I was like, so she basically, A chose Raphael over her family, right? So, and she was like hoping that she didn't regret it. And I was like, you know, you made that big decision for yourself, and you did it for you. So after a while, you know, Raphael and A, they living happily ever after. They told HR that they was there, you know, they had about the baby, and then shit start taking a left. So things started getting a little rocky between Raphael and A, because Raphael was holding in a secret. He was very secretive, and like he would be like, I don't want to talk about my past. I don't want to talk about this, because A had went into his office and found a picture of a woman, right? So I was just like, why you got a picture of a woman in your office? So she asked him about it. He was just like, oh, she's nobody. And he knew that he was supposed to tell her a secret. And I was figuring like, yo, you know, he must have been married or something like that. But like, just tell her. He basically was like, oh, you know, I don't want to tell because I don't want this to change how she look at me. And I'm just like, nothing comes nothing good comes from keeping secrets. You know, the truth always comes to light. I believe in that. So let me take a sip. So she started getting fed up. A starts losing trust for Raphael, and she's at the point where she's like, you know, I chose my family over you, and you keep a secret from me. I'm not trusting you. They're not communicating or nothing. And then here comes Elijah. Elijah keep trying to come back in the picture like, oh, I don't care if you're pregnant. I don't care about any of that. Like, I could claim the baby as mine, and you know, we'll live happily ever together. So the mom had called A, right? And the mom had told A, like, I'm giving you one last chance. Elijah wants to marry you. Even if the baby comes out, we could just say that the baby is fair. We got fair-skinned people in our family. Raphael don't need to be a part of the baby life. He's not the dad, and we'll just make it go away. So A is like, yo, what type of shit are you on? Like, the mom was willing to go to extreme lengths to make sure A marries a Edu man to not shame the family. I'm just like, the mom cared too much about what people thought, because the mom was like, people in the villages back home is gonna hear about this, and they're gonna be the laughing stock. And it's just like, yo, sis, chill, relax. So A was just like, again, A was disgusted by that. A's like, yo, like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing that. I don't love Elijah. You know what Elijah did, you still doing that type of shit? Like, chill out, sis. So after a while, A was just starting to question herself. She was starting to be like, you know, did I do the right thing by choosing Raphael? Because Raphael and her relationship was not the same. And every time she talked to him about it, he wasn't comprehending what she was saying, and she was getting fed up, and she was reaching her breaking point, right? So then, you know, she started reflecting back. So she was reflecting on, like, when she came to Canada. And her mom thinks that, this is the mom's problem. The mom believes that, you know, when they immigrated to Canada, she still wanted A to keep her same Nigerian morals and principles and act the same way as she was in Nigeria. But the mom felt, because the mom basically never, but the mom came to Canada when she was older, so she didn't have to deal with identity crisis in a way for a new culture. Identity culture for a new culture, right? Where A came when she was younger, so she went to school. And in school, if you're an immigrant and you ever lived in another country and you came to another country, you have to understand the culture where you're from and the culture in America and Canada is different. This is the truth, and I'm speaking from facts. You have to basically change yourself to fit in, because your normal way of doing things is pressure. The kids laugh at you. They don't understand what you're saying. You basically outside of their norm, so you're different from them, so they don't like different. So in order for you to cope, you trying to change yourself to fit into their culture, and eventually you lose a little part of yourself. You lose a little part of your culture because you're trying to adopt a new culture so that you could make it in this world. You know, and the mom wasn't understanding that. And that's what A had to deal with, you know. So when she came here, like, for example, when she came to Canada, like, the kids was eating ham sandwiches and she was eating, like, yams for lunch. And it's just like they was wearing Nikes, where she was wearing, like, the slippers that they have back there. So it's like she was getting teased and she couldn't deal with that. So she didn't lose her Nigerian heritage. She just put it aside a little bit so she could adopt the Canadian heritage so she could fit in. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you lose a piece of yourself. You just trying to change up so that it alleviates a little bit of pressure on you. I had to deal with that, you know? So, and people don't understand that it's so much pressure to leave one country and to come to the next country and you know, essentially make it seem from your family, make it seem like you losing where you come from and you don't appreciate where you come from. That's not it. You have to adapt, you know. At the end of the day, y'all not going to school with the kids, so you don't understand how much pressure they under. And I understand where A is coming from. I do understand where A is coming from. I resonate with her character so much. So anyway, she was trying to explain it to her mom, and her mom couldn't see that, and her mom is just like, you're basically going to adopt Raphael's culture and leave yours behind. And then A was trying to explain that, no, I'm not. Like, why can't we come together, you know? So A was battling with that. A was battling with the secrets that Raphael was holding. And, you know, she couldn't handle it no more. So she called it quits with Raphael. It just so happened that, you know, when she called it quits with Raphael, here comes freaking Elijah popping up or whatever to the office. So Elijah's pleading his case like, I want to be with you, this, that, and third. Here comes Raphael walking in. And then A was just like, all right, I'm going on a date with Elijah. So Raphael sees that he's butthurt, he's devastated. He's like, I really love this girl, but still, you really love this girl, but you still not telling her what she need to know. So how can she trust you? So he's hurt, whatever. He walks up. A decides that, you know, she don't want to go on a date with Elijah because she really don't want Elijah and she wants Raphael. So her best friend was like, listen, I see what's going on. Come away with me to vacation, right? So they go to the family cottage or whatever, and it just so happened that her best friend's parents is there, right? So she set that up, right? So the best friend parents is just like, listen, they had to sit down. She was like, you know, I understand what you're going through. My family, the parents, the mom and dad is basically saying, you know, I understand what you're going through. My parents didn't accept it, but at the end of the day, it's for my happiness. I choose that. And it was difficult in the beginning, but eventually my family came around, and it's not easy. But when you have love, you make it work. And I was like, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So this is what happened, right? So A was like, you know what? I know what I have to do. I want Raphael back. So I'm going to just stop there. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to just tell you the secret that Raphael was holding. So basically, 3 years ago, right, Raphael was married. He was married. Him and his wife was on vacation. He wanted to drive through a snowstorm. The wife was like, no. The wife was like, no, I don't want to drive. He forced the wife. He didn't force her, but he basically made her agree to drive in a blizzard. They got rear-ended by a car. They got into a car accident. The wife died, and it just happened to be that the wife was pregnant, right? So he was dealing with that because he blamed himself. And I can understand, you made her drive in a snowstorm. Had you not did that, she would still be alive. I understand, it is what it is. I understand what he was dealing with, why he didn't want to tell her that. But I'm just like, at the end of the day, like, he made it seem like he murdered, he really, really intentionally murdered the family. Like, you could have just said that, bro. But everything happens for a reason. Again, I'm skipping over parts because I don't want to spoil too much. But I want to get to this part. So anyways, eventually Raphael and A rekindle. They come back. They have a conversation. They understand that they love each other. And that's that. So again, her belly's growing and all that. So, they find love and understanding. So, but prior to their reunion, A goes to the mother house, right? A goes into the mother house. Guess what, y'all? So the mother is in bed with the uncle. I'm like, oh, hell no. So the mother comes out, oh, it's not what it looked like, this, that, and third. And I'm like, the mother got some damn nerve. She got some nerve, right? So A is like, how could you do this? Like, this is basically disgusting. So the mother's like, oh, you gotta understand, we fell in love about a year ago. I started having feelings for him. He took care of this family. I loved him, and you can't put this over me because my husband is dead, and I gotta live for me. So A is like, hold on. How can you say that your husband is dead, you gotta live for you, but you making me live for my dead father all these years? And that hit heavy. So the mom couldn't say nothing. And A finally spoke her truth. She was like, I was the perfect daughter. I did everything that was asked of me. And you forcing me to live up to the standards of a dead man. Like, I love my dad. He will always be my dad. But I don't want to live up to his standards anymore. I don't want to be like this. Like, I'm gonna be with Raphael. I'm gonna love Raphael. There's nothing that you could do about it. And then she told the mom basically, if you can't accept it that you can't be in my child's life, I don't want you to be in my child's life. You never loved me. You only loved the idea of me. You never really cared about me. She blurted out all her feelings, and I was finally. So the mom was speechless and she left. So we go fast forward. So the A goes into labor now, right? So they're in the hospital. She has the baby, and she almost dies. So, Raphael started freaking out, like, oh my God, a second. I'm like, damn, like, this happened to him a second time. Like, he is the problem. I'm like, yo, if they die, it's him. It's him. So anyway, A gets a second chance. The baby is okay, right? So they in the hospital, huddled all that. The mom comes in. So basically, she's like, yo, why you here? So the mom is like, I'm sorry. I do love you. I never meant to hurt you. I never want you to think that I don't love you. And if this is what you want, I'm going to be here. I want to be in my grandchild's life, and I understand what you're saying. And I'm so sorry. The mom finally came to a realization, like, she hurt her daughter. And I'm glad she came to that realization. And, A forgave her. She saw the grandchildren, the family come together, happily ever after. And then, years passed by. Raphael and A is pregnant with another child. Their reunion, their love story is just so beautiful. And I was just like, yo, it was a beautiful story. I know I skipped over a lot because I didn't want to. This is one book that I really didn't want to spoil everything for you guys, because it's like a must read. It is a must read. The book is funny. It has a lot of funny parts. It'll make you think about like life in regards to like your culture, your morals, your principles. I know it made me reflect on a lot of things, because especially when it comes to culture and identity and having to change yourself to fit in with American society, that really hit hard. And for me, But I loved everything about the book. I would recommend it. And I guess the title basically means like two cultures coming together to be one. Because if you could compromise and there's understanding, two cultures can be together. You understand? And it doesn't necessarily mean that one identity or one culture is going to overshadow the other. You just have to understand, like, you want the child to learn both cultures. You don't necessarily have to lose a part of yourself to do so, but you have to understand that, it can't just be your culture. You understand? And I think like for me, that would be so hard with like dating outside of my culture, because having to fit someone else's culture into your life is hard. It's not easy. It's harder than what it seems. Unless you're Caribbean, but the islands basically is like the same. To be honest with you, like the cultures are the same. It's just the food, music, all that, whatever. But like, for like a Hispanic and Nigerian, these cultures do things a different way. So like to fit it together is difficult, and you will have arguments and you will have trouble finding a balance, but it is possible, especially if love conquers all. But I stand by what the book says, stop trying to control your destiny and let things play out sometimes, because the things that your trajectory will always change. Your trajectory will always change. What you see for yourself sometimes ultimately it's not what's meant for you to be, But I love the book. If you read the book, let me know what you think. As far as the next book reviews, I'm gonna do books that I have, because the books that I ordered that you guys requested has not come yet. So what I'm gonna do a book from me that I want, and then I'm gonna do y'all book, switch it off. Videos is gonna come every week. Right now I'm unable to do 2 videos a week like I was doing before. But yeah, continue to request the books that you want me to read. And until next time, guys, I'm out.